Spencer Dutton's long-anticipated journey back to Montana is far from the welcoming return he envisioned. It's a landscape of conflict. Episode 7 is a pivotal moment, threatening the very core of the Dutton legacy. As the struggle for Yellowstone intensifies, alliances will break, betrayals will inflict deep wounds, and sacrifices will leave lasting scars. With only 2 episodes remaining, the atmosphere is thick with anticipation. One character will not see the finale, and the storm that has been gathering from the start is about to unleash its fury in unforeseen ways. Prepare for the most gripping, heartfelt, and action-filled episode of 1923 to date. So let's delve into the details. Following the fierce gunfight at the Yellowstone Ranch in Episode 5, the Duttons are endeavoring to recover both materially and emotionally. Jacob, thankfully, pulled through. However, the ranch sustained significant damage. The assault by Donald's forces was merely a precursor. What lies ahead will make that shootout seem like a trivial skirmish. As I forecasted last week, a member of the Dutton Circle did indeed fall during that attack. While many presumed it would be Jack or Elizabeth, it was in fact an experienced ranch hand who had been loyal to the family since the first season. His demise has ignited a previously unseen intensity in Jacob. Sheer, unadulterated wrath. Jacob Dutton is finished with playing by the rules. He understands Donald will persist until he seizes the ranch. So now, Jacob is steeling himself for war. No more hesitation. No more reprieves. The fight for Yellowstone is on the verge of erupting with unprecedented ferocity. Meanwhile, an unexpected partnership moves to the forefront. Spencer and Tiona. Since their crucial meeting in Episode 5, these 2 survivors have been linked by shared peril and destiny. Spencer, resolute in his aim to return home, has taken Tiona under his protection. But their trek is more than an evasion of immediate threats. It's a journey of 2 damaged souls fleeing their histories. Each bears wounds that stubbornly resist healing. Spencer is a man driven by a singular purpose, heading directly for Montana. Tiona is escaping for her very life, relentlessly hunted by the cruel priest who is determined to recapture her. Their connection is forged in adversity. A palpable tension exists between them, born of mutual esteem and an unyielding desire to survive. And then Episode 6 alters the entire dynamic. Spencer and Tiona are nearing Montana, yet safety remains elusive. The priest, now with additional support, is rapidly gaining on them, heralding a savage confrontation. For Spencer, a skilled hunter and decorated war veteran, this represents the ultimate challenge, not only to his abilities, but to his very essence. Then arrives the moment, the one designed to steal your breath away. Cornered in a derelict barn, Spencer unleashes a ferocity not witnessed since his time in Africa. It's visceral, it's brutal, and it demonstrates the lengths he will go to shield those he has pledged to defend. The episode's title is accurate. Spencer does indeed rescue Tiona, but the manner of it, that's what will leave its mark on them both. Tiona, having already faced unspeakable suffering, sees a facet of Spencer so merciless, even he finds it hard to comprehend. The price of survival is considerable, and for these 2, that cost is only just beginning to surface. Will this act of salvation create a divide between them, or will it solidify an unbreakable tie? The outcome might surprise you. Back at the ranch, Kara is the glue holding the Duttons together, while Jacob readies for the impending conflict. Bearing the immense responsibility of the ranch, she has also become a maternal figure to Elizabeth, who is experiencing pregnancy issues that endanger not only her well-being, but also the continuation of the Dutton lineage. As Jack becomes more embroiled in the conflict, the strain is clearly affecting Elizabeth. Confined to rest, she confides in Kara during a poignant exchange. "My anxiety isn't solely for myself or the infant, but for the family's entire destiny." With conflict looming, dire choices are unavoidable. And as the battle formations are established, one truth is evident. No one will emerge from this without injury. "What sort of world are we bringing this child into?" she poses to Kara. The reply, as we are soon to discover, is a world engulfed in war. Donald Whitfield's persona gains new depth in episode 6. We are afforded a rare look into his history through a sequence of flashbacks initiated by a tense encounter with Banner. It becomes apparent that Donald's fixation with Yellowstone transcends mere land or wealth. It's profoundly personal. His father was once employed by a rancher much like Jacob Dutton, and the narrative of how that association concluded clarifies much about the man Donald has become. The flashbacks are brief yet impactful, portraying a young Donald witnessing his father's degradation by a prosperous rancher. This isn't sufficient to excuse his current deeds, naturally, but it adds a complexity to his character that renders him even more formidable. He isn't simply a rapacious entrepreneur, he's a man on a quest for vengeance against the way of life the Duttons embody. Banner, in the meantime, is nearing his limit. The telegraph announcing Spencer's return to Montana has unsettled him more than he anticipated. He is aware that Spencer's appearance could alter everything, not just for the Duttons, but for his own ambitions too. Banner's wife observes his unease and questions him about it, prompting one of the most insightful discussions regarding Banner's character thus far. "You're intimidated by him, aren't you?" she inquires, alluding to Donald. Banner offers no direct response, but his reticence is telling. The reality is, Banner is trapped between two dreadful options: persist in aiding Donald's destruction of the Duttons and bear that culpability, or withdraw and risk becoming Donald's subsequent victim. The course of action Banner devises is startling, even for him. He concludes that the sole method to safeguard himself is to be the one to locate Spencer first, not to eliminate him. Banner isn't prepared to go that far, but to apprise him of what awaits at Yellowstone. It's a reckless maneuver that underscores Banner's profound internal conflict. Will Spencer place his trust in the individual attempting to usurp his family's domain, or will he discern the deceit? If you're familiar with Spencer Dutton, you likely already surmise the answer. But just as his intuition grows sharper, his journey with Tiona takes an unforeseen detour. While heading west, they encounter a party of travelers destined for Wyoming. Among them is a soldier from Spencer's past. Initially, it appears to be a reunion to be celebrated, but something feels amiss. The way his former comrade repeatedly glances at Tiona, the subtle yet probing inquiries about their route, it all seems suspect. Spencer perceives it too, culminating in an unforgettable moment of heightened unease. You can observe it in his expression, the dawning comprehension that peril is nearer than he presumed. The episode then erupts into its most thrilling sequence yet. Without revealing too much, let's just say it features a nocturnal flight, a commandeered horse, and Spencer employing every savage skill acquired in Africa to outwit a merciless group of bounty hunters pursuing Tiona. The pursuit is a visual spectacle, set against the dramatic backdrop of a violent thunderstorm. Lightning splits the heavens, casting eerie fleeting light upon the turmoil. Spencer transforms the darkness into his most potent advantage, moving through the shadows like an apparition. But then the storm separates them. Tiona, disoriented and trapped by two bounty hunters, confronts a situation that will ultimately define Spencer Dutton's true character. What ensues is simultaneously awe-inspiring and horrifying, a rescue that is anything but clean or straightforward. By its conclusion, Spencer is injured, their path forward clouded with uncertainty. Yet, one thing is undeniable: they are no longer mere fellow travelers. They are linked by the struggle for survival, by mutual trust, and by the blood they have shed together. Meanwhile, back at the Yellowstone Ranch, the conflict is rapidly approaching its climax. Following the savage attack in the preceding episode, Jacob has converted the ranch into a veritable stronghold. Every ranch hand and steadfast neighbor has taken up arms. Sentinels maintain watch along the ridgelines, and ammunition is plentifully stocked in the barn. At the heart of this preparation is Jack Dutton, stepping up in a manner that fills Jacob with both pride and profound concern. In a scarce moment of tranquility before the inevitable chaos, Jacob imparts a fragment of his own history, narrating the wars he has endured and the sacrifices they entailed. Because he understands this isn't merely about defending their territory, it's about the inherent cost of war itself. And by the time this conflict concludes, no one will remain unscathed. The most difficult aspect isn't the combat, he confides in Jack, it's coping with your actions afterward. It's a sobering dialogue that presages the forthcoming violence. Donald's subsequent strategy isn't a frontal assault, it's considerably more cunning. He leverages his influence within the local administration to have a judge issue an edict stating the Duttons have defaulted on their property taxes. It's entirely baseless, of course, but it furnishes Donald's men with a semblance of legal authority to approach the ranch. This places Jacob in a dreadful predicament: resist what seems to be a lawful order, and risk being labeled an outlaw, or acquiesce and forfeit everything. The scene where the sheriff delivers this notice to Jacob is executed brilliantly, with the sheriff palpably uneasy with his task, but too fearful of Donald to decline. Kara devises a third alternative that showcases her sharp intellect. She proposes they temporarily adhere to the order while dispatching Jack to the county seat to rectify the fraudulent tax assertions. It's a perilous undertaking for Jack, who will be venturing into territory controlled by Donald's associates, but it represents their most viable option. The moment Jack bids farewell to Elizabeth before his departure is deeply moving, particularly when she guides his hand to her abdomen so he can feel the baby move. "That's your son reminding you to return to us," she tells him. And I assure you, I wasn't the only one moved to tears during that scene. What Elizabeth is unaware of is that Jacob and Kara have formulated backup plans should matters deteriorate. They've readied a concealed cabin far into the mountains, where they can take Elizabeth if compelled to relinquish the ranch. Jacob reveals this location to Kara in a scene that underscores just how long he's been anticipating this eventuality. "My brother always advised me to have a place where no one could find us," he tells Kara, referencing, of course, James Dutton from 8. The cabin is well stocked with provisions, hidden from sight, and defensible, a final option Jacob prays they won't have to use. The fact that he's showing it to Kara now signifies the gravity of their circumstances. Meanwhile, the friction between Banner and Donald escalates to a critical juncture. Banner, upon discovering Spencer's impending return and witnessing the increasingly savage methods Donald is prepared to employ, finally confronts his employer. It does not end favorably. Donald reminds Banner of all the illicit acts he's been involved in, effectively threatening to bring Banner down with him if he attempts to withdraw now. Their tense exchange occurs in Donald's study, with Donald maintaining an unnerving composure, while Banner grows progressively more distressed. The balance of power is starkly evident. Donald controls the situation, and Banner has maneuvered himself into a predicament with no simple resolution. What Banner doesn't realize is that Donald has already anticipated his possible defection. In a disturbing scene, we observe Donald conferring with a new figure, a professional assassin, hired expressly to handle Spencer upon his arrival, and anyone else who obstructs his path, including Banner if deemed necessary. This emerging threat is distinct from others encountered thus far. He is composed, methodical, and demonstrably skilled in killing. The manner in which he discusses the assignment with Donald, as if conversing about the weather rather than multiple homicides, is profoundly disquieting. Donald provides him with a list of names, and the camera lingers just long enough for us to discern that Spencer's name is at the top, succeeded by Jacob, Jack, and unexpectedly, Banner himself. The episode truly gains momentum when we rejoin Spencer and Tiona's odyssey. After eluding the bounty hunters, they are compelled to forsake their intended path and venture into more perilous terrain. Spencer's injury from the rescue is impeding their progress, and Tiona is striving to treat it with their scarce supply. There's a poignant interlude where Tiona employs a traditional healing practice learned from her grandmother, humming softly as she applies a remedy to Spencer's wound. It's one of the infrequent calm moments in the episode, permitting us to observe another dimension of their evolving relationship. Their revised route takes them through an area notorious for its dangers to travelers. Spencer clarifies that they have no alternative. The primary routes will now be under surveillance, since the bounty hunters are aware they're en route to Montana. What he omits telling Tiona is that his wound is more severe than he acknowledges. In a solitary moment, Spencer examines it, and we can perceive that infection is developed. The resolve etched on his face as he conceals it again communicates everything. He is determined to get Tiona to safety and himself back to Montana, irrespective of the personal toll. The terrain they traverse almost becomes an entity in itself during this segment of the episode. Austere, magnificent, and relentless, it challenges them at every juncture. Sustenance is limited, water even more so, and the elements persistently conspire against them. Yet it also offers instances of breathtaking splendor, a sunset that suffuses the sky with incredible hues, a troop of wild horses thundering across a valley, stars so vivid they seem almost tangible. These moments serve as a reminder of what the Duttons are truly fighting for, not merely land but a heritage, land but a mode of existence, a link to something larger than themselves. Their trek takes a fraught and unforeseen turn when they encounter a Native American hunting party. Tiona immediately identifies them as kinsmen of her people, but Spencer, perpetually the survivor, remains wary. He has learned through bitter experience that trust is a commodity he cannot readily afford. The leader, an elder named Running Wolf, discerns their apprehension and extends an invitation to share his fire for the night. It's a risk, but with Spencer's wound deteriorating and their provisions nearly exhausted, they have scant choice but to consider. What transpires next is one of the episode's most moving sequences. As the fire crackles beneath the immense nocturnal expanse, Running Wolf recounts narratives that span generations, tales of conflicts, deceptions, and the profound, indissoluble connection between his people and the earth they inhabit. Tiona listens with deep respect, grasping the significance of his words in a manner Spencer never could. But Spencer, despite his outsider perspective, listens with focused attention. There's something about these chronicles, their history, their suffering, their tenacity, that resonates with him. By dawn they are provided with more than just refuge. Running Wolf's people offer them fresh sustenance, medicinals for Spencer's injury, and crucially a caution. There are men ahead, Running Wolf informs them, men bearing firearms, men who pose too many inquiries. Spencer nods, unsurprised. Peril was an inherent part of the journey homeward. This is merely another impediment to surmount. But the journey becomes increasingly arduous. Spencer's injury is exacting its price, slowing their pace more than he is prepared to concede. When Tiona finally insists on examining the wound, her expression conveys everything. It's severe, worse than you indicated. You should have informed me, she chides, her voice a mixture of frustration and alarm. Spencer, ever the stoic warrior, merely retorts, wouldn't have altered our course, because for him, Montana is no longer just a geographical objective, it's a fixation, a vow he refuses to betray, regardless of the sacrifice. Meanwhile, back at Yellowstone, the tempest is already descending. Jack's mission to the county seat to unveil Donald's spurious tax allegations has culminated in catastrophe. Although he unearthed the deception, the cost of that discovery was severe. Waylaid by Donald's operatives, the confrontation is savage, desperate, and unsparingly violent. Jack narrowly makes his escape, bloodied and bruised, urging his horse to its absolute limits, merely to reach home. His eventual arrival at the ranch is a moment of visceral emotion. Slumped in the saddle, barely conscious, he is greeted by the aghast expressions of Kara and Elizabeth. The initial relief in their eyes swiftly morphs into something far more somber, as they register the severity of his injuries. The image of them hastening towards him, fear etched upon their faces, will linger long after the episode concludes. With war encroaching from all directions, one truth is unmistakable: this is merely the inception of the struggle, and not all will endure it. As Jack recuperates, he furnishes Jacob with vital intelligence. Donald's next offensive will be a comprehensive assault on the ranch, not solely by his own men, but with the complicity of corrupt local authorities. The attack could materialize at any moment, and they must be prepared. Jacob convenes everyone at the ranch for a meeting where he delineates the dire situation. Anyone wishing to depart should do so immediately, without shame or recrimination. What unfolds next demonstrates the genuine fortitude of the Dutton legacy. Not a single individual depart. Instead, they commence further fortifying the ranch, bracing for a siege that might extend for days. or even weeks. These preparations are intercut with scenes of Donald amassing his forces. He has enlisted supplementary men, professional gunslingers, devoid of conscience and any ties to the region. To them this is merely another assignment. The disparity between these hired guns and the ranch hands defending Yellowstone could not be more apparent. One faction fights for monetary gain, the other for home, family, and a cherished way of life. The resolution of such a clash ought to be foreseeable, yet Donald commands superior numbers and resources. It's destined to be a fiercely contested battle, and the episode masterfully cultivates this suspense. During one of their pauses for rest, Tiona reveals more of her personal history to Spencer, the institution, the torment she endured, and her flight. It's the most she has ever confided in him, a testament to the trust that has burgeoned between them. Spencer listens in silence, and when she concludes, he simply states, "They'll have to eliminate me before they return you to that place." It's not a melodramatic avowal, merely a declaration of truth, yet it signifies everything to Tiona. Banner's journey is more frantic. He is pushing his horse beyond its endurance, acutely aware that locating Spencer before Donald's assassin is a life-or-death imperative. There's an instance where Banner halts at a trading post to inquire about any travelers fitting Spencer and Tiona's description. The proprietor is wary and non-committal until Banner presents a considerable sum of money for information. The trader then informs him about a man and a young native woman who passed through 2 days prior, heading north. Banner is on the verge of departing when the trader mentions something further. Another man had been asking identical questions just hours before. The description he provides matches Donald's gunman precisely. Banner's expression is eloquent. The pursuit is even more critical than he had surmised. Donald's gunman is systematic in his chase. He follows Banner's trail with ease, maintaining just enough distance to remain undetected. There's an unnerving quality to his patience, his absolute certainty that he will eventually overtake his course. At one juncture, he stops at the same trading post Banner visited. The exchange he has with the trader is succinct but ominous. When the trader attempts to extract more money from him for information, the gunman merely glares at him until the trader capitulates and divulges everything he told Banner. As the gunman departs, we observe the trader's hands trembling, a subtle detail that speaks volumes about the type of individual Donald has engaged. Back at the Yellowstone, the atmosphere is at its zenith. Sentinels have sighted riders approaching from the direction of town. A substantial contingent, too numerous to be friendly. Jacob directs everyone to their defensive stations. The ranch house transforms into a bulwark, with furniture barricaded against the windows and armed individuals at every conceivable access point. Kara assists Jack to his post, despite his injuries, and a moment of quiet acknowledgement passes between them. "We've faced this before," she tells him, alluding to prior assaults on the ranch, "and we're still here." It's a testament to the Dutton fortitude, their capacity to endure whatever adversities arise. The three narrative threads converge in a deserted town near the Montana boundary. Spencer and Tiona arrive first, intending to rest briefly before the final leg across the border. The town is uncannily silent, with structures partially dilapidated and tumbleweeds drifting through the abandoned thoroughfares. They select the most sound building, an old hotel, to seek refuge. Oblivious to being observed, Banner arrives next. Having driven his horse to the point of collapse, he approaches the town with caution, searching for any indication of Spencer or the gunman. When he notices horses behind the hotel, he dismounts and advances on foot, his hand resting on his firearm. The gunman is the last to arrive, yet he is the most prepared. He reconnoiters the town's perimeter before entering, pinpointing all potential escape routes and ambush locations. He has done this countless times, and his proficiency is evident in every deliberate action. The scene alternates between these three viewpoints as they navigate the town, generating almost unbearable suspense as we await the certain confrontation. Spencer, debilitated by his wound, doesn't grasp their jeopardy until Tiona detects movement outside. By that juncture, it might already be too late.
What follows is a tour de force of suspense. Banner locates Spencer and Tiona first, storming into the hotel room with his weapon drawn. Spencer, despite his impaired condition, reacts instantaneously, lunging at Banner and bringing him to the floor. Tiona seizes a lamp, poised to wield it as a weapon. It's only when Banner manages to speak that Spencer pauses. Banner swiftly clarifies his identity and his purpose, to alert Spencer about the gunman. Spencer is dubious, yet something in Banner's desperate earnestness persuades him to listen. Just as Banner is detailing Donald's schemes for the ranch, a shot erupts, shattering the window. The gunman has discovered them. What ensues is a gripping game of cat and mouse.